Welcome to Christ Parency, the channel where we tackle misconceptions and uncover the truth about Christianity. Today I wanted to address a common instinct among Bible-believing Christians, the impulse to leave a church the moment it becomes too liberal. I understand the frustration, but I want to argue that retreating is often the wrong response, and that staying can actually be an act of faithfulness. When conservatives and Bible-believing Christians leave mainline Protestant churches, they don't fix the problem, they guarantee it gets worse. If those who believe scripture is authoritative leave, the only voices left are the ones pushing further theological drift. What was once a contested space becomes uncontested. The church doesn't correct itself, it accelerates in the wrong direction. The major problem is people are often complaining about how some denominations and some churches seem too liberal or gay friendly, or this denomination or this church has this problem. We can't just sit by and complain about problems in the church when something that we are doing is actively contributing to these problems. When we run away to some schismed church or some other church or that's more conservative or whatever, but it's not mainline, you're just making the mainline churches become more liberal. You're fueling the fire for a problem that you are against. It's not logical, and we should try to do better to actually help the church instead of leaving it to become destroyed inevitably. Running away from sin inside the church causes more harm than good. Jesus prayed that his followers would be one so that the world would believe. Division among Christians is not a neutral outcome. It damages the church's witness. When faithful believers abandon a church, rather than contend for truth within, division is multiplied, not healed. Unity does not mean affirming error. It means resisting the reflex to flee at the first sign of corruption. Just because something bad is happening within a organization that you're in or a church that you're in, it doesn't automatically mean that thing is completely bad and it's going to destroy everything that it touches. Well, maybe it will if we leave and we let it do that. If nobody's there to stop it, how can something be fixed or uncorrupted if there's nobody there to help? Leaving is just going to let the problems arise, and it's going to inevitably be worse. Things are going to get worse and not better for everybody. Leaving every flawed church trains us to avoid conflict rather than practice faithfulness. Scripture repeatedly calls believers to endurance, correction, patience, and suffering for truth. If our instinct is always escape, we are discipled by comfort, not conviction. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of running away to or creating new churches, it's driven more selfishly than we can initially realize. Because when I think of someone running away because they think that the thing that they're part of is too corrupt or too liberal or too whatever, it comes off as they're thinking of themselves, because what's ultimately better for all Christians is being completely avoided, completely left out of the question. We need to emphasize in our lives, in our daily lives, how much God calls us to live for others and not just for ourselves. We need to do what is best for everybody around us, and that includes our fellow Christians or our fellow non-believers. When Bible-believing members leave, weaker or younger Christians are left without support. The people most vulnerable to bad teachings lose the very voices that could have helped them. Staying can be an act of service, not endorsement. If a young person decides that I want to join a church. Let me do some research online. I want to join a mainline church. Mainline Protestant. Those are more historic or whatever. Or maybe they don't do any of that. They just want to join a church. If they join a mainline Protestant church and they find out it's going to be all liberal, they're going to believe that that's what Christianity is. They're going to think that that's what Christianity is about. And guess what? There's no conservatives in that church. So how are they going to tell them that it's not? How are they going to tell them that Christianity is not all about affirming or saying that this is right when the Bible very clearly contradicts what the church is actually teaching? There's going to be nobody there to correct people who are actually actively seeking Christ. We need somebody to be there to actually help them instead of letting them go off like a lamb to the slaughter, basically. Those are the few points I wanted to cover about this specific topic. The first question you guys might want to be asking is, what exactly is a mainline Protestant church? Well, mainline Protestant churches are historic denominations like Presbyterian, Methodist, Lutheran, Anglican that once held Orthodox Christian doctrine but have drifted theologically over time. Importantly, many of these churches still contain faithful pastors, congregations, and confessions. It's not also the specific denominations, it's also specific churches and denominations. Like, let's take Lutheran, for example. Lutheran is a Protestant denomination. Not all churches are mainline Protestant, though. The only mainline Protestant Lutheran church that I could think of right now is the ELCA, whereas another church like the LCMS is not mainline Protestant. Just as a quick clarification as what I mean. Next, what should we do? Well, rather than abandoning these churches, we should seek out faithful congregations within them. Support Orthodox leadership, and stay engaged. Resources like Redeemed Zoomer's work help identify mainline churches that take scripture seriously. The goal isn't to save institutions, it's to remain faithful where God has placed us, unless staying requires direct compromise of the gospel. I will be leaving Redeemed Zoomer's website in the description, so you guys can check that out if you guys would like to look for a new church. I'd greatly appreciate it if you at least looked into it. It'd be really great. The question isn't whether a church is imperfect. It always is. The question is whether our presence pushes it closer to the truth, or whether our absence ensures it drifts further away. I hope I've given you guys plenty to think about. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end, and have a God bless day.